Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Awesome. All right, John, welcome to Around the Blockchain. If you can just introduce yourself to the viewers for me.
Hey guys, my name's John. Nice to meet you, Ryan, officially online. I'm the CEO, one of the co-founders of Balthazar NFT Gaming. So started back in September, and it's been a great journey since then.
Awesome. Before we get stuck into Balthazar, which we obviously will do today, can you maybe just chat a little bit about your background in the crypto blockchain sort of space, and then we'll start to head into the Balthazar part of the conversation.
Absolutely. So my background's actually originally in digital venture building, and when I say that, not necessarily in Web 3.0, but more in the Web 2.0 businesses. So originally started by building our own SEO technology in the digital marketing space, and then used that to drive different businesses, such as like an agency, multiple e-commerce businesses, some service-based businesses. So essentially creating an unfair advantage using a platform that we had built ourselves and owned. And from there, we essentially linked up with Fred and the team at Hive Empire Capital, and we're introduced to the operational side of crypto. Before that, a couple of the guys on my team heavily invested in some other coins, just general coins, and there was a lot of talk about crypto in the office, but never officially operated within the space. And recently, the passion that we had for technology and the ability and the opportunity to operate within the space sort of arose, and that was in the form of PlayToEarn. So that's why we're here.
And I guess touching on PlayToEarn there, might be worth just explaining a little bit about PlayToEarn and the background of PlayToEarn gaming for the viewers as well. Could you sort of just touch on that and maybe give a brief explanation of what PlayToEarn is, and I guess just maybe a couple of the key points of PlayToEarn gaming?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to start off at a really top level, it's in the name. So the idea is you play a particular game and you earn an asset from it. And the asset can be liquidated into stable coins, for example, which can then be turned into your own currency and spent in the real world. So the idea of PlayToEarn is people play games and they earn a currency for playing those games. So for me, PlayToEarn is an exciting space because it's, in my opinion, it's the evolution of gaming. The idea of spending in games is not new. We look at traditional games and people have been spending money in different games, from skins in League of Legends to packs in FIFA for years. The idea of PlayToEarn gaming is when you buy one of those assets online, you're actually buying an NFT. So you now own this online, and you can now use that thing that you own, that you've paid for, to actually generate income for yourself. And it's an exciting space because we're seeing, a lot of people, especially in developing countries, take advantage of this. I guess that's where guilds come in, and which we can dive into, at a later stage.
Yeah, which we definitely will do. We did see, games like Axie Infinity come along and do exactly that, like you've just said, with, third world countries, people that don't predominantly earn a massive income in comparison to us here, in the West. They've obviously jumped into those sort of gaming environments, those pay-to-earn gaming environments, and they've been able to earn like quite good money. Have you got any thoughts on that? Like, that seems to me like, just from a humanitarian level, I guess, like that's a really cool sort of thing to be able to do and to enable. I could imagine, being part of Balthazar, that's a pretty rewarding part of your job.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that drew me towards the crypto space, to be honest. The first part was the fact that, operationally I could add value, which is obviously good because you want to be able to run a business where, you can add a lot of value and your team can innovate and create. And then the second one was the corporate social responsibility element. And we were seeing, our first exposure was just seeing people with shelves in their home and just food stacked from top to bottom. And in the Discord saying, this is thanks to, this guild or that guild. And that was for me the most eye-opening thing. It was, and understanding the translation of how the games work and how they pay people out and what they have to do to earn that. It's such a great thing. And it really, in my opinion, is contributing towards a global redistribution of wealth, where you've got investors and funds and VCs that are putting money down. And a lot of it's actually, the output is in developing countries. So for me, it's almost becoming at a top level, it's almost becoming a corporate social responsibility for games that have to consider this. So instead of the profits just being paid out to shareholders or to directors and owners of the company, there's an element there within the game that can actually be paid out to developing countries. So it really broadens the scope of what gaming can be. And yeah, massive advocates of that. And, people in Balthazar, gaming guild are earning, lots of money playing different games. So yeah.
That's awesome. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, Balthazar's, and then would be the next sort of part to kind of go down conversation wise. I guess, what is Balthazar to begin with? And then maybe we can just take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Balthazar is an NFT gaming platform. And there's a few different elements of Balthazar, some which we're building, some which are already built, some that have been live for a few months. The first part of Balthazar NFT gaming platform is the guild component. And with the guild component, essentially we lend assets to gamers in developing countries. Those gamers then play with those assets, earn a yield, which is then shared with us. So it could be 50-50, could be 60-40, could be 90-10, depending on the difficulty of the game. It really depends. And we offer a lot of different gaming opportunities for our gamers in these developing countries to earn. That's essentially what the guild model looks like. So we buy the assets, we deploy them into different games through these gamers. Then they play and earn, as the name suggests, and we share it in the yield. And that was our introduction into the PlayToEarn space, and that kind of model, was the introduction to the PlayToEarn space for us. But I guess from our perspective, we didn't want our business to be fundamentally tied to one particular game or a small group of games. So we decided to build a platform instead of just running it as a guild, which allows us to capitalize on different elements of the space. So for example, we have a lending platform where investors can lend us their assets, or they can buy assets through us and deploy them into games with us, with our gamers. So this unlocks a completely new earning opportunity for retail investors who might have considered, buying Bitcoin or staking their money, or guys that are interested in NFTs in general. And I have a lot of friends that say to me, what are NFTs? Like, how do I get into them? How do I make money from NFTs? Well, instead of just buying a JPEG and hoping that you can bank on capital growth, now there's an opportunity for you to actually buy assets that are gonna earn you a yield, while also providing an opportunity for a gamer in a third world country. So it's an interesting balance, and that's currently live, and that's on our platform, and we call that our lending platform. Part of the way that works is somebody will lend their assets, they'll then receive an NFT, which represents the ownership of those assets, and they get paid out as an investor, and the gamers play, and we pay the gamers out for what they earn as well. So that's one key part of Balthazar. Some of the other things I'll just touch on very briefly in terms of what we're also building. We're also reaching out to a lot of games and producing a lot of research reports about games, which we're really excited about, because we want to be able to provide A, exposure for amazing games that are being built, and B, investors with really well thought out commentary around different games and what we think is going to succeed and what might not succeed. And again, fully objective from our end, we want to be able to produce, great content for people to read. And the reason we're also doing that is because we're building a launch pad. So, once we attract these different gaming companies, we want to be able to list them on our platform so they can then have the opportunity to access our huge pool of gamers and investors. So there's obviously an angle there too. So you've got the guild, you've got the lending platform, you've got the launch pad. So what we're trying to do is really support the metaverse and support the PlayToEarn space as well as we can by tapping into all the different stakeholders.
Yeah, wow. There's a lot to to facilitate there. I find the lending side of things really interesting. So somebody, say, comes along with an in-game asset that they own, but they don't particularly want to play that game, or they don't have time to. They basically lend the asset to you guys. In exchange for that, they get an NFT, and then someone goes and deploys that asset in a game somewhere else to obviously earn a yield, and then you split the profits. Is that kind of a bit of a loose sort of wrap up?
Exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So if somebody's got an asset, and they're like, and here's the beauty of it, right? This can happen across different games, and it can also happen, across different types of customers too, right? So for example, we have assets that we're deploying in games called Splinterlands and helping build that game out while offering investors the opportunity. And it can be for individual gamers who might have $500 to $1,000 worth of assets, or it can be for institutional investors or whales that may have $1 million worth of assets, which we're doing quite a large rollout in Splinterlands. So we have different customer segments, and obviously with our larger customers, we offer more of an OTC service where we can go and customize the split based on certain requirements. There's different ways we can customize that. But yeah, so there's different, and a lot of institutional investors are buying gaming assets to hold them for capital growth, even though they're aware of the earning capacity. What we're doing is unlocking a dormant sales channel for them and saying, look, we know that you've got a great deal with this gaming company. For us, we'd love to work with you and help support that game by actually deploying scholars into it instead of just letting those assets sit there. So yeah, there's a lot of different angles there, and yeah, we're happy to be able to support all stakeholders.
Yeah, brilliant. Another thing that piqued my interest was the research reports you're writing on different games and presenting that information to obviously your client base. What sort of stuff do you look at when you're assessing, a new and upcoming blockchain-based game? Are there obviously there's some sort of due diligence that you guys do, and what is it specifically that you look at for those, sort of games that are up and coming?
Yeah, great question. I'll start by saying with the research reports, one of the key members of our team is a guy called Nico the Pico Korsgaard, who's a professional gaming coach. He's actually our chief gaming officer. And he was a professional gaming coach for a team called Fnatic back in 2018, and also head coach of Fnatic Rising in 2020. So he's got a great name in the esports world. And we take an esports approach to assessing games. So from Nico's perspective, what we look at is how easy the game is to play, how fun the game is to play, and that's something that I'd love to touch on in a bit and really just talk about why that's important. We look at how much it costs to enter the game. There's a lot of different elements, right? We talk about game economics. So how much can a player earn within the game? We assess the team. What's the history of the team? Have they got experience building games? Are they sort of blockchain first and then gaming after, or are they gaming first and blockchain after? And both have their benefits. You might be able to earn more in a blockchain first game because they've got their tokenomics right in the short term, but that may not last quite as long as a game that might not have their tokenomics right but have a great gaming experience. So there's a balance there, and we want to make sure that we're providing transparency to our customers. So our latest report was something like 6,000 words, so we go into a lot of depth with it. And Nico works really closely with our chief investment officer Terry, who was a partner at a top consulting firm, financial planning firm recently. And they work together on the economic analysis as well. And just really, we actually have a section called Read Between the Lines. So it's basically our outlook on the game from the perspective of really experienced gamers and great, guys that have a great understanding of economics. So they're the sort of things we look at.
Yeah, very interesting. Look, you did mention one word that I do have to discuss really quickly. Obviously, we could go off on a tangent on this, but we won't. But Metaverse, it's been something that's been thrown around a lot recently, obviously with Facebook renaming itself to Meta. What sort of thoughts do you have on, I guess, the Metaverse space? I tend to think of, gaming environments, which have been around for, 25, 30 years, as their own sort of, versions of a very specific metaverse. Would you agree with that? And then I guess, how would you explain what is the metaverse to people, and I guess what's happening in that space and why it's important for us to understand that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question, and it's super subjective. I think everyone's got their own view on is VR and AR, are they part of the metaverse? And like you could say that The Sims was one of the original versions of the metaverse, right? I mean, I think the metaverse just means, in Greek, the word meta means after, right? So it means the word, it's a world beyond and after the world that we're living in at the moment, right? So I think that any form of place online where people can engage and spend lots of time, I think that could be considered a metaverse. I guess the metaverse that I was referring to was the Web 3.0 metaverse, where you're starting to see a junction between finance as well as entertainment, as well as everything from social engagement to we're even dating online now, like everything. So I think that there's mini metaverses, like you said, everywhere, and they can come in many different forms. But I think that the metaverse that we're talking about these days, and that's commonly referred to, relates to this place where it's particularly driven by the financial side of things as well. So when you tie them, you can pay for things, using a wallet ID, and you've got internet money now, which is essentially crypto, and it's all engaging online, and people are earning online, right? They're working online. So we're doing a lot more online now. I think you could work forever and never have to leave your house, really.
Yeah, quite literally as well. Like, I'm not sure about yourself, but I pretty much am probably 95% work from home. Have to every now and then go out somewhere, for work. So it doesn't happen very often anymore, which is quite interesting. Like 2 years ago, if you said that would be the case, I would have laughed, but have also been quite sad, because that was kind of a dream of mine, was to actually just be able to work from home. Now it's a reality. So I think that's a very accurate way to describe things. And I think Web3 is pretty much going to be the digitization of everything. And like you've said, that's already happening with finance, with, people dating online. You could literally shop online and never have to leave your house if you didn't want to. So all of these things are already, here. It's just how long is it going to be before that is the new norm? Going back to Balthazar, there's also after reading the docs and the white paper, there's also 5 sort of I guess, was it key sort of revenue platform pillars that you guys are using as well? Can you kind of talk to me about those, what they are, and how they're sort of I guess being implemented through Balthazar?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've touched on a couple of them, and I'll just redigest a few of them. So the first pillar is essentially we call it Balthazar Guild, and that's where we deploy our own capital and take a yield from the scholars that are playing with our own capital, and that's a pretty direct and transactional earning model, pretty simple and not too different from what we're seeing in the industry in general. Then we've got Balthazar Lend, which is the lending model, which I've spoken about, where we work with different lenders that have existing assets and that can lend them through our platform. And both of those earning models are currently live, and we've got lots of lenders, both institutional and retail, and we obviously have our own capital we deploy. At Balthazar, just to say, the strategy is not necessarily to deploy too much of our own capital. We'd rather pass that opportunity on to investors and sit in the middle. That's our strategy, but you can go either way. Then the next revenue model is Balthazar Buy, where people are interested in getting into the NFT space and the PlayToEarn space, but they may not know where to start. So we offer them like almost an OTC service, which will eventually become a marketplace where you can just buy NFTs that represent the ownership of different assets. And essentially you buy and then you lend. Or you can go to the 4th type of model where you can buy and then play it yourself. And for that one, we're obviously talking about, first world gamers. And that's when AAA rated gaming companies are going to come through and build these amazing gaming experiences. Or, we could start to see some of the games that are already out there creating amazing experiences. And people are, instead of playing, like I said, FIFA or League of Legends or Dota or something of the sort, they're just playing, they're playing PlayToEarn games instead. So, and we want to be able to, capitalize that experience. We want to be able to be the ones that are helping facilitate that transaction as well. So Balthazar Play, and then Balthazar List is the launchpad that we describe, where we can help gaming companies launch their NFTs and their tokens on our platform, and obviously work with them to different commercial arrangements. So there's a couple of different earning models, and again the goal for us is to sit in the middle and help connect gamers with investors and players. That's really our philosophy. We want to be able to sit and have the most number of scholars in the largest community that we can use to enable that. So there's a few different elements that we're working and building, and you're right, there's a lot there and a lot to create, and we're working on actively hiring as many great developers as we can. It's we, like at Balthazar, we would rather spend our money on hiring amazing developers to help progress the space than necessarily over capitalizing on one particular game. So yeah, we have a slightly different approach to some of the other businesses out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you mentioned FIFA and League of Legends and these sorts of really successful games. Do you think it'll be long before we see a really, really big gaming company maybe launch a version of a pre-existing game? So as an example, maybe FIFA, or maybe League of Legends, or Call of Duty, or what have you. Do you think we'll ever see something of that magnitude ever kind of be launched using blockchain and maybe adopting some kind of play to earn model? Do you think that's a possibility?
I absolutely do. I think that the financial system itself is better, and I think that one of the core drivers of a lot of these games are in-game purchases. So first of all, you've got a better solution to transactions. That's the first thing, which is great. And the second thing is what we spoke about earlier, which is that corporate social responsibility angle, where because guilds are such a key part of the space, you almost have an obligation to work with guilds and provide these opportunities to people. And I think that once people become, and it's going to take a while, once gamers become accustomed to the idea of owning the NFT asset and owning the gaming asset you're buying, and that doesn't go away in next season or when you change discs, I think that that may force their hand for the ones that might take a little longer. Gaming companies like Ubisoft have been really active in talking about play to earn. I think Riot recently registered interest as well. Riot obviously make League of Legends. So I think there's definitely an opportunity there for them. I just wonder who's going to be first. And I think that whoever has that first mover advantage is going to be in an extremely advantageous position in the gaming world, in the gaming industry. So to answer your question, I absolutely do. I think that it's going to happen the same way that, I think that financial systems will also move over.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting times. Like I could imagine, I play COD you know, not seriously, I'm not very good or whatever, but, you know, once a fortnight with a couple of mates. I could imagine just running around, you know, playing for money would be epic. Like that would be such an awesome thing to do. So I could imagine you're 100% right. Like it's not going to be long before big gaming companies have to adopt this, obviously this way forward and, you know, move their industry in that direction. I don't think they're probably going to have much of a choice to ignore it, really.
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah, and imagine the skin that you're buying can be used across games. You want to play, you know, a different shooting game, and you can use that same skin, for example. I mean, I don't know. The possibilities are endless when it all lives on the same ecosystem. If it's living on the same chain, I'm sure that's possible. So, yeah, it's definitely very exciting, and I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you guys have also got some pretty, you know, big name backers as well. We've got Animoca Brands there. I think we have TPS Capital, Zed Run. You've, you know, been able to get in touch with these people. How have those relationships developed, and how have they obviously helped out, you know, advance, you know, Balthazar, and I guess what are your plans also moving forward there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we're very grateful to have partners that share the same vision as us, and that I guess we're all working towards the same goal. So we were lucky enough to have, first of all, a great team here, and teaming up with a team at Hive Empire Capital, who can help us access a lot of these great people. And I think if you have a great idea with a team that has proven that they are great operators, and have a great investment thesis and strategy, you know, it's a recipe for success when it comes to working with companies like that. And in terms of the effect that they've had, well, it's been great to be able to access their networks and get their thoughts on the space and help us engineer our tokenomics, and in particular the future. I mean, having the right partners on board when you're scaling is by far the most important thing. You know, you've got a shoulder to lean on, you've got an opinion there, and we can also support them in ways, especially with our research reports and, you know, with our pro gaming esports teams. There's a huge opportunity there. And I think for us, because we're building a platform, there's so much that can be plugged in to us, and that can help develop it. So we're not siloed in any particular way. I think, again, having great partners that can open doors for us and work closely with us, and you know, allow us to help other games as well, and other DAOs as well, is just a massive opportunity. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have such great partners, and we look forward to continuing to grow in that space, and yeah, supporting in any way we can and being supported.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the timeline looking like for, I guess, say for the rest of the year, which would probably be sort of like, you know, short term, then moving into 2023, and then obviously beyond that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the middle of our last private capital raise at the moment, which is going great, and we're speaking to some other great names. After that, we're going for our public launch. Once we go, and I mean, of course, I'm talking about the cap raise side, some of the great milestones, but along the way, we're building our product. We're looking to build our NFT marketplace so people can buy assets really easily. So sort of, you know, in between going public and building this platform, I think the goal that we have is to make NFT gaming as easy as possible for gamers. I think that's one of the things we're trying to achieve with our platform. It's allowing people that, you know, have heard about NFTs and have heard about PlayToEarn, that might not be familiar with how to set up a wallet or what that looks like, or how to buy a particular gaming asset. When does the NFT mint drop? We want to make that super easy for people. We want to draw it out, and I like to say, we want to make it Apple easy. You know, like a kid can play with an iPhone from a very young age, and we want to make it that easy for people to enter the PlayToEarn space, because it's an amazing space, and I think more people should have access to it. Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. And look, where can people find out a bit more about Balthazar and what you guys do?
Yeah, go to bltzr.gg, or you can just search Balthazar NFT Gaming, and go to our Twitter or join our Discord, discord.gg/Balthazar. And yeah, join the community, get amongst it. There's usually singing competitions and fan art competitions going on in the Discord. So if you want to go have a listen, or, you know, have suss out what we're about, jump on the channels, and it's all there for you.
You don't want me singing on your Discord. I think there'll be a mass exodus.
Hey, these guys are really good, man. You get to hear it. It's amazing to see. It's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, have you got any closing thoughts for the viewers as well?
Look, I just think that just in particular with the PlayToEarn space, yeah, we're just really excited about it. I think that it's the next progression. I think that it's just a better offering to what's out there in terms of the systems and the structures. I think that once people get a taste of owning the things that they're buying and playing with in games, they're just not going to go back. So I think that's super exciting. And the fact that we're able to support, you know, developing countries while we're doing that, it's a dream of a company to be working in. So yeah.
Awesome. Look, John, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you jumping on. Don't go anywhere. We're going to say goodbye to the viewers for now. And yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Great to see you.